This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to Late Night Into the Bizarre. Those tickets are going fast. 6 more months. Secure your spot on the front row down in Missouri. Outside of Kansas City, June 19th and 20th in Richmond. Check it on out. The links are provided in the chat room. The links are also provided on all of our profile pages. So welcome to everybody for coming on in. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michiganrob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch, The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World, Donnie Cho Says Stuff, Paranormal Paul. Had a giveaway on the show tonight, 1,000 subscribers and growing. Congratulations to Paranormal Paul. Awesome for Paul. Super chats are open, a great way to help support what we do around here. You can become a BMR pirate. Arr, mateys, join today. Join the many, join the few. Depends on your point of view. Hit the like button, leave a comment on your way out. It does help boost our analytics on YouTube. Don't forget my books, Bigfoot Michiganrob, True Cryptid Encounters. Books 1 and 2, type Bigfoot Michiganrob in your Amazon browser. And you can pick up a copy today. Leave a review. Thank you to Mr. Castro, a member for 10 months. Arr, matey, a 10-month member. He won't be walking the plank anytime soon. I can't say that for a whole handful of you, however. Just kidding. Love y'all. I'm not going to waste any time here. We got a packed show tonight. We have a packed show. So I'm going to bring up a few people here. Krista from the Blondes and the Booze. What's up, Krista?
You see it. I'm here.
You're here?
I'm here.
As always. I saw you just a few minutes ago on Paul's little celebration.
Yeah, congratulations to Paul. That's a big milestone to make.
Yeah, it is. It's almost the hardest hurdle to get to. So
it is.
Congratulations.
It really is. Yep.
I'm going to bring up the lovely Monica. Thank you, Keith.
I like what he called it. Missouri Hangover Recovery Fund.
Yeah, thank you so much, Keith from Michigan. Appreciate that, buddy. I also, of course, Mr. Castro, there he is, 10-month pirate member.
Yeah.
Rags. Whoa. Thank you, Rags. I appreciate you for that. Nice way to start late night. Rags to itches. Hi, Rags.
Riches.
I know. Is that a R? Yeah, well, I always call her Rags. Thank you, Rags. Appreciate that. And then, of course, finally, a guy who's not moonlighting tonight on the other channel. Paranormal Portal with Brent. He's a good guy.
He is. Yeah.
Brent's a great guy. Very cool guy. Great show. And I'm going to bring up Mr. Tex. Now, how come I can't find Mr. Tex? I don't see him.
There. He's right. Want me to add him?
Yeah, one of us can add him.
No, but I'll just do it myself.
Now it just pulled up. Thank you guys. Hey, Tex, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I found the picture of the snake I was looking for.
Thanks, T-Bone.
Thank you.
Thanks, T-Bone.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, T-Bone. What was that again, Tex? I'm sorry before I interrupted you, per usual.
I said, I said I found this picture of the snake I was looking for.
Why don't we get the show started with this snake? I know you spent time looking up this. We were just talking about him. Go ahead, Tex.
Well, I was talking to y'all, and I was talking to Monica about, because both of us used to play with snakes when we were little, and
Play. I weaponized them.
I did too. I don't know if I've really told a story about what I did to my sister. About got me killed. I thought my dad was going to kill me, but anyway, hello, Donnie Joe. Thank you.
Donnie shows says stuff.
Drunk tax. So
Thank you, Donnie.
I was talking about ribbon snakes, and I was looking at them, and I can't find one that's exactly like the ones I used to have or used to play with. They were water snakes, but this one,
That looks like a garter snake.
Yeah, it's a racer.
but they're called Western ribbon snakes,
It's pretty.
Pretty, yeah.
and the this one is not as brightly colored as the ones I used to. Because the red really popped and the green was really like a neon green that I used to. But that one's really close. It's the same pattern and everything. But they can get about, they'll get about 3 or 4 feet long. But they're
Pretty
just
long.
yeah. But they're real. They were fun to play with. They're real docile and everything. But anyway, that was that. But the story about me almost getting shot by my dad was we lived in a trailer house. My sister lived on the same property in a house. Why don't you come over to, just come back and forth and everything. And as a bored teenager, I had killed a snake. I don't remember what kind it was, but it's a pretty good sized steak. And my sister came over, and I was outside, and she went in the back door, and I got the bright idea to tie this thing on the end of, on my fishing pole on the line, and then put it on the other side of the steps where she's going to be coming out. And I went all the way back down to the end of the house, and I listened for her to walk down the hallway. And when she opened the door, I was pulling that snake across the back porch. So she screamed, ran back in the house, slammed the door, ran back in the house. My dad was about half drunk. He come out of the house with a shotgun, and I'm in the backyard, and I've got this snake hanging off the end of my pole, and I'm leaning on my pole, laughing my ass off. Okay. And my dad come out of the back door, looked at me. What damn kid? Went back in the. And then my sister started rapping at me. My mom started rapping at me. But yeah, fun stuff.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Riveting.
Right?
That's a good story. That's a good story.
It's a fantastic story. I wasn't being facetious. I was saying hello to everybody in chat.
Yep. And Andre says he's got both your books.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you so much for that. For the folks that bought the books, I always say this a lot because, hey, it's how you promote the things. If you get Amazon calls you on email, writes you an email, just leave a review.
How old are you again?
Yeah, just give me a review because it does help promote sales, just like YouTube. So we almost have a full house here, minus Brandi. She's got that weather going on.
Yeah. It targets her.
She is in a.
Yeah, she's had it. I mean,
Yeah.
last weekend coming back from seeing you guys.
Yep.
So, we had a tornado going through her area. We were still in Texas, and we ended up stopping at our hotel room, and she sat out in the car. I went and got us checked in. She talked to her daughter, and her daughter, so cute. She says her daughter's 14 or 15. She said, we're fighting a tornado, and you're worried about finding Bigfoot. She was freaking herself out, poor thing. But yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yep. Scared.
Yes, she was. I'd be scared.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead, Rob. Your show. I'll let you hit.
No, you can go ahead, Tex. I'll let you get it all off now.
No, I was actually going to address you, Rob. I was actually going to address you about the show. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, you know what we got? Typically, it's the same format. I'm kind of turning things around a little bit because I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm up to 4 shows now. Tuesday with Krista is always guest driven. That's at 9 o'clock at night, Eastern Standard Time. Mm-hmm. Myself and Tex are Thursday at 1, and it's usually me, Tex, and Brent, or sometimes just me and Tex, or sometimes me, Tex, and the guest. So that's kind of different. I've been doing Friday nights. I've been doing these encounter stories for like almost a 2-hour show. And I get a lot of other ones that just aren't long enough to do a full show on. You know what I mean? But they're also kind of cool, but they're only like 3 or 5 minutes. So I really have nothing to do with them, but I'm not going to get rid of them. And I was going to wait till the end of the show, but when we get into bizarre news, sometimes the bizarre news, one segment can be 3 minutes and another one can be 30 minutes. It just depends how much we get into it, right? So I wanted to start today with a little. Now, this is a report, and I didn't memorize any of these like a normal show. I'm just going to read them because they're not that long. And I found this interesting because it goes, I love history, and this dates way back, right pre-Civil War. And it also, it's a report form that this guy sent me over, but it also has to deal with where Brandi and Krista live. More so Brandi, it's right around that Texarkana. It's southern Missouri and Arkansas border. Okay.
That's not Texarkana. Texarkana is at the bottom of Arkansas.
But it's right at the border. Let me get into it and you'll figure it out. But no, I said Texarkana because that's all I've been seeing on that Ryan Hall weather show is Texarkana this, Texarkana that, where all these.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anybody caught in the tornadoes, by the way, hopefully you're safe. Prayers to you if you had any damage.
I better check in with my cousin.
You check on in, Tex. And whoops. So
welcome, Miranda.
Yay, Miranda.
Okay, Miranda. So I just got to pull this up really quick, everybody. Thank you, Miranda, new member. That's awesome of you. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Just give me 1 second here.
All good.
Yeah, I know it's good. It's just I got this new computer. Nothing's where it's supposed to be. Well, it's not that it's new. I've had it for over 2 months now.
It just says loads of flooding in Texarkana. Yeah, Missouri's pretty flooded. I know even Rob all the way up in Michigan.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Flooded. Are you guys flooded in Texas too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I literally have a lake in front of my house. It finally started to go down.
Yeah.
Thankfully. So.
It's just awful. I think just about everybody's getting it,
Yeah. They are, and thankfully my county, my city came out and unplugged the drain, so it's looking better. So, good. So anyway, BMR, don't have to yap about that anymore. I found what I was looking for, and this is something I got. It's kind of short, but it's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And this is Arkansas, Missouri state line. Okay, pre-Civil War March of 1846, and this is from a newspaper article this guy sent to me. It's the border paper way back in the 1800s, 1846 time period. And it goes on to say the discovery of a mysterious wild man beast in the swamps of Arkansas, Missouri state line. A reported footprint measured over 22 inches in length and almost 7 inches wide was reported by trapper Edward Solomon to the paper. Almost immediately, a hunt of local trackers wanted to go out and see what was behind these mysterious tracks. A week later, a team was assembled led by Mr. Solomon. After a thorough investigation of the surrounding area, the group turned up empty, nothing. It wasn't until 3 years later when the same Mr. Solomon came across an identical set of tracks of what we know today in this other location called the Mark Twain National Forest. Apparently back then it was something else, right? I don't know when it became Mark Twain.
Mhm.
Again, this made the headlines, and a similar band of men was put together much like in 1846. This is 3 years later in 89 and 49. This time, the efforts proved fruitful, if not for having a terrifying outcome. Solomon's led group of 4. His group had 4 people, him and 4 others. Names were not disclosed. They came across a huge human-like. They came across huge human-like tracks that seemed to be very fresh. Upon following the tracks, the men ended up stopping in sheer terror as a huge human-like figure sprang out in front of them on the trail ahead. Solomon says, "It was the tallest and wildest human being I ever saw. It was like a wild man. The only difference is that it was clothed, and covered from head to toe in dark brown hair, only exposing its human-like face and chest area. Two dogs were also with these men. One took off after this beast, and the beast yelled at the dog and started running from the dog. The dog sped up. This man-like beast turned around, grabbed the dog, and threw it back toward the group of men, some 20 yards away or so, with the dog landing in front of them. Then the other unfortunate dog was also grabbed by this man-like beast, and unfortunately for you dog lovers, it snapped its neck
Oh.
and took the dog and flung it back toward the group of men. The beast stopped and stared at the men, roaring back at them. The men, almost paralyzed and in shock, stood for an instant and opened fire on the creature. Solomon swore that one of the shots hit the man-beast as it yelled in pain, and in one motion took a giant leap back into the tree line, never to be seen again. Mounted efforts in this area went on for months with no sign of this creature. To this date, well, back then, no tracks or sightings have been reported. I found that interesting. Back in the 1800s, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Twain Forest, we've heard a lot about that. And we've heard a lot about wild men, they called them, right, during the era of Daniel Boone and that. And
Yep.
so
there's a book I know that was written, and it's about southern Missouri, down in that area. And back in the mid 1800s, that's when the blue man was first seen. And they say, he was, like a Bigfoot type creature, but they called him the blue man. So these things were all back in the day,
They do. What I like most about the history pieces is the fact that,
Mm-hmm.
these things have been around forever, you guys.
Absolutely.
Just not reported like they are today.
Right.
Also interesting that it makes mention it looked like a human being, because I believe, since I've been doing this a while, you guys have been doing this a while, it does seem like back during this era, or even the 1900s, this was in the late 1800s, it does seem like a lot of reports were of just men, wild men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether they are actual human beings or actual Bigfoot, that's the thing that is probably the question here.
Well, they were human enough. That's the only way they could describe them.
Right.
They look like hairy, wild men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think anything that was on 2 legs walking around, they're going to call it something man.
Mm-hmm. Which they did. Yeah. Yeah.
They even coined dog man for something that looks like a wolf.
Yeah, well, wolf man.
Wolf man.
Well, it's bipedal. I think that's just what that comes.
I think bipedal is associated with some sort of humanoid.
I agree.
So
what Krista, you were talking about the Blue Man. Uh-oh, we lost her. Never mind.
Blue Man.
Yeah, she was talking about
Mentioned
the
the-
Blue Man out of Missouri.
Like down in that area, something they called the Blue Man.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that is.
I've never heard of that.
Well, I've heard about it, but I've never really looked into it.
I mean, I know the blue families, right? But those are like, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But their skin is actually blue. She's referring to as some sort of wild man of the day, and I've never heard of a blue man. I've heard of all kinds of things. That's just
okay, here it is. Here we go. The Blue Man, an Ozarks legend, long ago but not nearly forgotten. Go away, ad. So, once upon a time, a wild man-like creature roamed the remote wooded hills around Douglas County. He was infrequently seen, but his presence felt as far back as the 1860s. Looking to chase and kill, he carried a wooden club in his huge hand, threw large boulders, and feasted upon livestock. Periodic appearances sent locals spinning into a tizzy and brave men searching the woods, and through excitement, the last until the next sighting. He was the Blue Man of Spring Creek.
I know that area well in Douglas County. That's where we show horses at. It's where the grounds is for Missouri Foxtrotters. But yeah, it's very, very, very woodsy.
Yeah, because they say here there's a debate over how the Sasquatch-like creature earned his name. He wasn't literally blue. Some say his jet black fur shone as such in the sunlight. I've seen that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Another account said he wore skins and feathers dyed blue with berries.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Regional legends. That's what I like to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, I do like the regionals. I like these past histories, and of course, when something new comes out of the sky, such as the Blue Man, it's always cool to look into. I'll look into that a little more. It's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. There's a book down there that was wrote all about Southern Missouri, though, and they mentioned the Blue Man. I read the book years ago. But yeah, very cool.
I'll send you this link there, Robbie.
Thank you, my friend. You know what we're going to do? We're going to move on to some bizarre news. This is a segment that we do where good old BMR finds some bizarre things. It's usually an article. I usually accompany it with a picture, and we kind of discuss it. Sometimes we can go 3 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to find something really creepy in the AI world, but I didn't find anything quite like that. But lately, I've been trying to find at least one that kind of reminds me of the actual Saturday Night Live, which has something that perhaps I interjected a little of my own thoughts into the writing of it, just for a little comedic relief. Don't know. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You'll find out shortly. So, with that being said, you know, everybody that's new to the Late Show, we go all over the place. We do the bizarre news. We tell some stories. Sometimes we talk gardening. Sometimes we talk food. Sometimes we talk snakes. Sometimes we talk.
Well, we do spend 45 minutes on mayonnaise, so.
We did a 45-minute show that got over 1,000 views in like 48 hours, which was amazing. Anyway, bizarre news. And of course, on cue, bizarre news doesn't pull up correctly for me. You know, these computers. There we go. That wasn't too
good.
That wasn't too bad. So here's the first one, which I do have a picture, and this is kind of weird, you guys. Scientists could one day grow spare human bodies for transplantation. April 4th, 2025, this was written. Are on-demand replacement bodies the future of medical science? Known as bodyoids, of course, we were just talking about humanoids. Bodyoids, these Frankenstein-esque creatures could help to solve donor organ shortages. It's an idea that sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, but the concept of growing live human bodies for medical research and organ transplantation has been around for quite some time. These creepy creations, known again as bodyoids, would technically be alive, but wouldn't possess any sort of consciousness or awareness. They'd basically be laboratory organisms. Yes, of course. Certainly such a thing is likely to immediately stir up an enormous amount of ethical concerns. One question being, how could we be sure that these entities weren't real people? And would they be able to feel pain, either physically or emotionally? For years, scientists have been looking into the possibility of growing individual organs for transplant, which on the face of it would seem like a preferable idea, but the concept of growing entire bodies is still on the cards. In fact, some high-tech bio companies, along with certain governmental authorities, are well ahead of the curve. Already, scientists are working on ways to create synthetic embryos in laboratories worldwide. Of course, if we really went down the rabbit hole, it's possible to imagine a future in which people are transplanted entirely into new artificially grown bodies designed for maximum capability. The evolution of this could easily replace a current body when it gets too old. A person could theoretically live forever. The question is this really a path humanity wants to be going down?
Can I go back to 35 body? Just asking. See if I like this or not.
That's really advanced there, Krista. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I see what they're saying, but it's I don't know. I have a real problem with that.
So
the ethics of it is just so.
there's been movies made like this.
Yeah.
Okay? And it is a morality question, if you ask me. I mean, because when you create something, is it just a shell, or do these things, like Rob was saying, do they have a soul?
Do they have motor function? I mean, I guess it depends. Like, is there a central nervous system? Because at that point, yeah, they're feeling pain. They're feeling everything if they have a central nervous system. And in order for them to grow bodies for us to inhabit potentially, right? For us to body hop, it would have to have a central nervous system. And in my mind, once that happens, it's got essence. It's likely thinking for itself. I mean, it has to have a fully functioning system,
right,
in order for it to be inhabited and useful. So how would that work exactly?
Yeah, they would have to grow it without a brain.
Yeah, but you would still have to attach your brain to your cortex, right? And all of the central nervous system.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
They can't fix people that certain spinal columns are severed. There's no way they're transplanting a brain into somebody.
No.
No.
And here it's Diabolical Debbie said you can't cheat death. And you know what? I agree, man. Like I don't know. And like he said, when my body's done, I'll just go home. I'm the same way.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this, however long I live, let's just say 100. I ain't going to make it to 100. I'm just saying, like you were saying, Krista, if I made it to 100 with that 100-year-old man's body, I'll just cash it in.
I'll just do it the old-fashioned way with voodoo rituals and swapping the soul out, right? I just pick a victim. You look like a good body.
But yeah,
I think I'm going to be a guy this time.
yeah, no. If the case is you could choose, like, what you were, like 35, perfect age. Yeah, I'd gladly be 35 if I get my own 30. I don't think I'd. Okay, let's ask you guys this: would you guys like to live forever?
No.
Will it arrest aging? I don't want to be 200 years old in a 200-year-old body.
Right.
And you're a vampire. They live for centuries, and they look.
Well, yeah, but aging is arrested.
Aging
So,
is.
let me ask you: if this was ever possible, and these things did not, and they were just what is that? Nomatons or automatons or what is it?
Automatons?
Yeah, automatons. If that's basically what they were, would you do it? Get transferred into a younger version of yourself.
Of myself? Well, no.
Yeah.
Like I'd like an upgraded model. Like, can I make some?
But think about it. Think about it. If you were able to be transferred into a younger version of yourself, all the decisions that you made, you could.
Going back with the knowledge you have now, you can
Yeah.
right a lot of wrongs, right? You can. That would be interesting, but again, without reversing your physical body, I just don't know how you would inhabit what am I trying to say? A flesh form, right? Like just
Right.
like that. There's no way you can inhabit
really-
that without possess like
It's really taking over what, like,
essence
another
of that
host.
thing, like having to vacate and you take it over. Like, so essentially you're killing whatever that was so that you can
Right.
have that body. Even if it's me, it's a clone of me. That's still a version of me with its own sentience, right?
Mhm.
I would have a problem with that.
I would think that if they were growing these bodies, yeah, Monica and everybody, it's like, do you think that then, let's say that, you go through this process and you have this body waiting for you, are you going to be the same person? Because I don't get,
Yeah,
I don't
no.
see the transformation.
I mean,
You'd
if
have
your
to
consciousness
your
transfers
brain.
over, if your consciousness transfers over, then yeah, you would essentially be the same person. But if you're starting from scratch at like 14,
Yeah.
then I mean, your experiences shape you. Like everything that happened to me in the past makes me what I am right now.
Right.
In that sense, you really wouldn't know if you were still alive because you'd be totally something else.
Yeah.
Or somebody else.
I don't know. And I mean, just the general question of would you want to live forever? I don't know. Would you? I mean, is it just me? Is it something everybody could do? I mean, I don't want to grow old and watch everybody I love die.
No, I would not.
Continue on.
No.
And even if I were to go on and, create new families, the mental strain of that, right? The emotional taxing of that.
Yep. No, thank you.
You'd go nuts. You'd go nuts after a while, or you'd turn into a monster.
Right.
You one or the other.
Yep.
I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't want to grow old. If I could do it somehow, grow old, my family and best of friends, then I'd consider it. But even then,
I mean,
our
if
days,
you continued on until you were no longer wanting to continue, and everybody had that option. Have you ever seen the TV show The Good Place?
I haven't.
Okay. Well, at the very end, essentially, they're in heaven, and it goes on and on. I mean, think of eternity. Think of eternity never ends, right? And at the last episodes, the main characters have been in heaven for eons, and they grow bored of the existence, and they have the option to go into the void where everything ceases for them, and they get so tired of it, they choose the void.
I like what Debbie says. Life would be meaningless.
I like what Rag Stitches says. As a woman going back to periods and menopause, nope.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. I agree.
Let's say,
man, we just have to deal with it no matter what. So it wouldn't matter.
Can I get one that's had a full hysterectomy?
Right.
Right. Inhabit the body. Yeah. I've had children in one life. I don't need them in the next.
Right.
Yeah. theoretically, if it was possible, let's say you had a shell of a 35-year-old, you'd be so much smarter, and you could probably do a lot of better things, maybe for humanity. I guess
Yeah.
maybe,
If
but
I was feeling generous.
Yeah. So me myself. So honestly, like
I do the same thing.
Yeah. But I'm not like, I don't want to die now, but one day I do want to die. I want to go to eternity. I want to see what's over there, What they say is good. I want to go there.
I don't know. Like, I'm not afraid of death because there's no avoiding it, right? But
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that I'm afraid of death, because I've had so many loved ones go before me. Who am I to be afraid of that? They marched into the darkness ahead of me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I will go there eventually. It's more like FOMO, like what's coming that I won't be able to participate in with this consciousness.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more like FOMO. It's not that I'm afraid to die. I just all the things I don't experience because of it.
I've thought about this occasionally, maybe more than I should. I'm not afraid to die either. But here's the thing about it. I don't want to be one of these guys that's knowing that I'm going to die in 19 months.
Oh,
no, and I'm slowly deteriorating.
No.
Take me in my sleep, and just like, when we all go to bed, sometimes you never know.
No.
Yeah.
You have that great sleep where you don't dream nothing. You wouldn't even know if you were alive or gone, right?
Yeah. The other day, so I absolutely hate going to the doctor. I will not go to the doctor unless it's just to go get an antibiotic or something. But for a checkup, oh no. So I finally broke down and went after 4 years. Yes, 4 years. I went to the doctor on Tuesday. They checked everything head to toe for me. And she told me that somebody my age, she said she can't believe she's not prescribing me nothing. Like, total clean bill of health. And so I'm fortunate. And now, it's kind of like my age now. I'm 53. So it's like, okay, you got a clean bill of health. You probably should stay that way. So go to the doctor maybe once a year now, So I'm going to try to make a point to go back and stay on top of it, because I got a clean bill of health and fortunate. I don't take any medicines. I don't take blood pressure medicine. I don't take anything because I don't need it. And so
you're lucky.
Well, that's great.
I take a whole pharmacy every morning.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, half of them are, like 3 of them are actual pills. I need to take the rest of them are supplements with me.
I take vitamins, I do that. But as far as, like regular meds, I don't. So, like my mortality, I guess, like thinking about it, like, okay, so I probably need to just start going to the doctor and stay on top of stuff, because it's not the fact of dying either. It's what you're going to die of too. Like, I don't want to go out in pain, and I don't want to go out suffering,
Well, it's like the song says, I ain't afraid of dying. It's the thought of being dead.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I love life. I love this life.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I love it too, Ted.
But I mean, I do think that we are destined to be in each other's lives, in multiple lives, right? Because whenever somebody close to me dies, I get sad, not because I don't think I'll ever see him again. I think I'll see him again. I think I'm going to have a lot of lives with them. And I probably have had lots of lives with them. But I think no longer, and I consciously think this, like when I hear of a friend passing, no longer in this life, am I going to be able to hear your voice, no longer in this consciousness of, am I going to get a hug? Am I going to see your smile? That's what makes me sad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost, like I try to look at it, when a loved one passes away, or even a pet, like, okay, I'm the one being selfish because I feel like, heaven is a great place and a better place to be. So it's like, I'm grieving for myself. As you said, Monica, you're not going to be able to get that hug or, anything anymore. So yeah. Yep. Very true.
And, and we're going to have a lot of answers when we go to the other side.
Yeah.
All this stuff we've been trying to, all this stuff we talk about, all this stuff we've been trying to figure out, we'll be able to have those answers.
Yeah.
And I think that too, like life holds no mysteries for you, my friend. Like, you know it all now.
Mhm.
You know, the door's open for you.
Yeah.
I will say this, and I've said this to everybody that I try to say it to everybody I know, so everybody's aware of my wishes. Okay, my funeral or wake or whatever you want to call it, I don't want it to be a sad occasion. I want it to be a freaking party. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm talking margarita machines. There's a keg there. There's karaoke. There's dancing.
Mm.
You know,
absolutely. Celebration of life.
Absolutely. You know, and I thought it's like, and I showed this to Krista and Monica both at the conference. This woman had these. I didn't get one. I was torn. But they had these. She had made these mini Ouija boards in the shape of Texas.
Yep.
Okay. And it said, "Yep, nope, bye, y'all," and howdy.
Pretty cool.
You know,
she even had a cute one.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
But it was a Ouija board. Okay, and I was torn. Okay, but I do want somebody, and I told one of y'all, I don't remember who it was, when I die, purchase a buttload of those and hand them out with a card that says, "Let's stay in touch."
I told you what I wanted if I go before you, Tex, is I need somebody dressed like the Grim Reaper standing next to my coffin. And at one point, they got to play Pop Goes a Weasel.
Oh, yeah.
My sense of humor will prevail.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so what a way to start the show, eh? Talking about
it's going to happen.
But it's a topic, it's a very, very interesting. I mean, we've all thought about it and what it'd be like, and we can go many avenues. I just hope I get a cool mansion, you know, and everything I need at my fingertips, and see all my family that I've lost over the years. Too young, a lot of them, and friends. We all know. We all have the same thoughts, I think, when it comes to that.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I really want to happen, and I've had multiple conversations with Jason about this. Rob got you back. But, and I know this is frivolous, I guess. I don't know. I want the channel to go on. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that stupid?
Well, no, it's a part of you. It's a legacy. That's understandable.
No, I mean, well, I tell you what, with the advent of the internet and technology, when we are gone, we live on through YouTube. If it's still up, we'll be on YouTube forever. Those of us that write books, the books will forever be out there. They'll never stop being published and bought. These channels will continue to go on unless YouTube in 30 years is no longer. It'll be somewhere online where you're always going to see all of our faces somewhere in 100 years.
That's a scary thought.
Dude? Who's this guy, Rob? Who's this gal, Krista, Tex, Monica? We will be 100 years down the road. We'll be somewhere in the universe.
Won't be that long for me. I lived 150.
Well, I ain't going no. Well, no, when we're gone 100 years after we're dead.
Out to think I have more years behind me than I have ahead of me.
Oh, okay. We're going to change subjects.
Yeah.
No, we do. We're closer to death than life. For sure.
We are.
I think that's like we can end it.
We can end it now. Rob's like, pull the plug on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can go on and on, but I got like 4 more of these. And I like to get them out. But
this some ground to cover. All right.
We got some ground to cover. We'll get it all done.
Okay.
But I like that, so I thought it was pretty cool. So we'll move on here. Because I think I might have a picture for this one. I had a picture for that one. It was just a body. Who cares? Okay, here's another one. This is this one here is we're probably not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it's somewhat interesting. Monster under Kansas boy's bed, April 2nd. Monsters in the bedroom. In this case, there really was something lurking under the bed. A babysitter.
I read about this. Cool.
Mhm.
You read about this? A babysitter tried to prove that there was no monster under the boy's bed, got more than she bargained for. The incident, which occurred in the town of Great Bend in Kansas, began when a babysitter who had been looking after some kids, struggled to calm down one particular. Anyways, this girl couldn't calm down these kids who were terrified. This one toddler who was adamant that there was some monster underneath his bed. Keen to prove the youngster that there was nothing there. I should have edited this one too. This guy, I'm telling you, okay. So she went on to go on to prove that there's no monster under the bed. Now, the babysitter looked under the bed, knelt down, and underneath the bed was a person, a stranger. The man underneath the bed jumped out from underneath the bed. An encounter happened as it knocked down a child and ran out the front door. Fortunately, police officers were able to apprehend him in a short time later. It turned out that the 27-year-old man once lived at the property and since has been ordered to stay under protection from abuse order. He now faces multiple charges, including aggravated burglary, aggravated battery, and child endangerment. It still remains unclear what he was doing under the young boy's bed, the police said. I should have edited that one. But anyway, I got to tell you what, that's bizarre in the sense that it'd be freaked out if I'm a babysitter and the kid comes to me, Robbie, there's a monster in my bedroom, and I look underneath the bed and see some stranger there in the house. That's some chilling stuff.
Well, you remember that movie that was the babysitter was there watching the kids, and then the phone rang and says, I know you're alone. You know, that one?
They're like, get out of the house. The cold's coming from inside the house.
Right. Get out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have to tell me twice.
Nope, I'd be out. Come on, kids.
Maybe I'll remember to grab the kids.
Right.
You know? But can you imagine? I mean, that would freak out.
Mm-mm. I would freak out too.
It also reminds me of that movie, Have You Checked the Children?
Yeah.
Well, there was one that came out in like the early 2000s. It was really good. When a Stranger Calls or something.
Yes.
Like that.
Yep.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Y'all remember those things that used to come on the TV, those public service announcements?
It's 10
It's
o'clock.
10
Do you know
p.m.
where
Do you know where your
kids
kids are at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the kind of parenting we had as Gen X. They didn't know where the hell we were.
Nope.
It was.
Oh, I have kids.
Yeah. Oh, it was so funny, you guys. You guys probably all remember this. I remember getting home from school or whatever, or maybe on the weekends. And I personally went to the ball field, played baseball from sun up till sundown, got home for lunch. Then I knew I had to be home at 6 o'clock for dinner. Otherwise, my dad was going to whip my butt. But other than that, they didn't know where I was half the time.
You got lunch?
Huh?
Not a good thing to lunch.
I had to fend for myself.
Well, yeah, sometimes. Yeah, actually, I did. My mom was kind of,
I mean, they would make lunch for it. It's not like they wouldn't feed me. But if I was out playing, they weren't like chasing me down in the street.
No, they didn't chase me down. I would tell you this. My mom would have something ready if I decided to go home, but half the time we're involved in the game. But I always made sure that I was home at dinner time because that was a no-no. Because unlike today's generation, we had dinner around the family. You know, the family sat around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dad talked about work. We talked about school. I talked about the neighbor. You know, whatever.
Right.
Yep.
And today,
I remember,
today I don't think any families sit
You
down anymore.
disappear into the ether until the street lights came on. But damn it, you better be home before those street lights come
Right.
on.
Yes.
Yep. True story. And then, you know, like you see all these things on like Facebook and YouTube and, you know, Twitter and stuff where people, you know, back in our age group, you know, we all rode in the back of pickup trucks going down the highway. You know, I remember doing that, drinking out of a garden hose. Look, we're all here, you know. So
I still drink out of a garden hose.
I will too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I remember sliding around the back of my grandfather's station wagon. No seat belts, not a seat belt in sight.
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
wore seat belts.
Yeah.
He'd take a curve too hard, and I'd slide to one side. He'd turn the other way, I'd slide to the other.
Yep. And on those station wagons, you remember the seats like face backwards, some of them.
Yes, I remember it. I remember doing some things that I'm not going to say. Traffic and back of me.
Where did you moon people?
Oh, yeah.
Old pressed ham, huh?
I can remember.
I did it on the school bus, too.
I can remember riding it. The old cars were, the sedans, you had that space up behind the back seat under the back window.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can remember when we drive up to Texarkana to go visit family. I would crawl up there, lay down, and sleep.
Yep. My dad had a camper shell, and we would sit in the back. He had the little sliding window from the truck, to the camper. And me and my brother, we would ride like way down the highway. We'd go to visit family. We were in the very back of the truck. We had a ball back there. Yeah.
I love riding in the bed of pickup truck. That was always
fun. Do.
I remember in high school, we were all in the mall parking lot, and we had folding lawn chairs.
Yep.
Right? The old plastic with the plastic straps.
Yep.
And I just remember we thought we were so cool, and I got out of the back, and there were a few guys left sitting there, and they're like, "We're gonna go cruising, yada yada yada." Man, my friend turned on the truck. The minute she turned onto the street, everybody in the chairs like flew out of the back.
Oh, that's funny.
But everybody laughed. Everybody laughed.
I have a bit of a pickup truck story. I was driving to Maryland, and I just got a brand new pickup truck, in fact. And I was going with this girl, Karen, and my buddy, John, and we were going to visit my brother who was stationed at Bethesda in Maryland. So we had to drive through the hills, the mountains, this, that, and the other. So my buddy, John, wanted to be in the bed, eventually he made his way until the bed of the pickup truck. I'm like, yeah, you go hang out back there. We're driving down the freeway, this, that, and the other. We get up into the hills, the mountains on our way through to get to Maryland, wherever it was. I can't tell you where it was. I don't remember. Then all of a sudden, though, now we're elevated, and it was kind of, you look to the left, you look to the right, there was no railings. If you slipped off, you went down, and that was not going to be a problem. My buddy's in the back, which is okay until the thunderstorms roared in. And my buddy was too big to slide through the back window to get into the back seat. He wouldn't fit. And it got so dark out that I really couldn't see where I was going and pull over. And then when I was about to just say, well, screw it, I'm just going to kind of ease over and stop, I hydroplaned. I lost control of the truck. And the Karen who was next to me, I take my arm and I put it on her. I go, I think we're going to bite it. I think I lost control. I thought we were going off the mountain. I really did. And then poor John, my buddy, I think he's gone.
He needs to jump.
Yeah, but it was so weird, you guys. I really, that's the only time in my life that I thought that I was not going to be here today. I could not control it, and we just slid. No control, brakes don't work, steering don't work, and it was in a straight line. We had to go maybe 100, 120 feet. It went on forever. Then all of a sudden, it was weird how it is in the mountains. Then all of a sudden, we hit a side of the road where it was totally dry and wasn't raining, and I hit the pavement. And boom, gained control of the car.
Somebody was watching out for you.
Yep.
For you all.
Okay. I was literally, you guys, I swear, I thought that, no, we're not going to make it. Not going to make it.
Wow.
Been there. Yeah, that's scary.
I believe it. Yep. Very scary.
Speaking of near-death experiences, we got another one. We got a bizarre.
What a segue.
Yes. My grandfather's NDE, April 24th of 2021. So this isn't quite as new. Now, this is a short story that was submitted by C.L. Palmer from Oakland, California. After a major heart attack, my grandfather was taken to the Oak Knoll Navy Hospital in Oakland, California, back in the late 1980s. There, his heart stopped and he was dead for a number of minutes. He later described what he experienced during that time to my mother and grandmother, who later related this to me. He told them that he felt himself rise out of his body and saw the ceiling approaching. He didn't know how to control his spirit body, which was apparently parallel to the floor, with his nose adjacent to the ceiling. You could see the holes in the ceiling tiles close up, and it was in very great detail. He could also see the doctors, he could also hear, not see, he could also hear the doctors working on his body below him, and was frustrated because he couldn't turn around and watch them. Instead, he just listened closely to what they were saying. After a while, he could feel himself being drawn back into his body, after which he lost consciousness. When he awoke, he spoke to the doctor that had revived him and described what he had heard, wanting to make sure it wasn't just a dream or his imagination. The doctor confirmed that it had played out exactly the way he had heard it. My grandfather felt very peaceful about things after that. He spent the next few months getting his affairs in order, making sure his wife could locate and use all of the insurance policies and other paperwork that would have to be sorted out when he died. After my grandfather passed away, my grandmother came to live with my mother at our home. She was suffering from bone cancer and became weaker and weaker. One day, while my mother was feeding her in bed, she started to struggle to even get up, and was desperately reaching for the ceiling at the opposite corner of the room. She cried that my grandfather was there, that he was just across the room, and that she wanted to go with him. Then she settled down and fell asleep. My mother left the room to put the dishes away, and when she came back, my grandmother had passed. The granddaughter, and I quote, "I really hope someone is there waiting for me when it's my time. Who knows? Maybe I'll just see my grandfather there too, just like Grandma did." Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I had a feeling when I pass, somebody's going to be there to punch me in the mouth.
You know, I think, you know, some people have great NDEs, you know, that, you know, were really good, and others don't, you know, so that seems like that was a good one though.
You know, whenever we start talking about this kind of stuff, I go back and I think about that story that Krista and Peyton told us about that. She had a patient come in and he was dying. There's nothing they could do. They were trying to, but he was on his way out. Right? He starts screaming that he's burning.
Yep. Yeah.
He starts screaming for help. How creepy is that? I mean,
because, you know, he did not go to heaven, obviously.
Yeah.
obviously.
There's a lot of hospice nurses. If you watch TikTok, I know a lot of people don't, but I follow a few of them, and they talk about the end of life. Obviously, they're hospice nurses, but all of them, almost across the board, the ones that I've heard always say, you know, I do believe that there is something after we go, because of the experiences that people have. Like, a lot of them are visited by loved ones. They'll say, I want to go with my mom or you know, my husband or whoever, whatever family member comes to take you. I don't think you have a choice in that. It's whoever shows up. You know, I know we all have who we'd prefer to see, but whoever shows up to take you is who's there. But there are patients that don't have that peaceful encounter, you know, and it's usually about a week before death is when they say people start seeing other people in the room.
Right.
But the ones that disturbed them across the board, they all have patients that they complain about shadowy people in the room.
Yeah.
They'll get really agitated, like, why are you here? You need to go away. Or they'll complain that like their feet are hot or they're just starting to get hot. They get really agitated. And this one lady that I followed, she said her one patient like screamed, was like agitated, but that comes with some illnesses too, like agitation comes with
Right.
so she was agitated, like extremely agitated, and she kept saying, I don't want to go with them. I don't want to go with them. And then she grabbed her and she's like, they're real. And then she went unconscious and died a short time later. And
That's creepy.
that is creepy. That is creepy. So, you know, these people that I listen to that are exposed to it on the regular as part of their job, you know, the stories that they're telling, they don't get anything from it. I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
They're just, I mean, and they give advice other than that. These are just stories they share along the way.
Right.
You know, makes me even believe even more that there's 100%. I mean, I believe it anyway, but it just solidifies my belief that there is something after our consciousness exits this reality.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys know that February 10th of this year, my cousin died. I was really close to him. And I guess it was four years ago, he had a stroke. And my husband and my friend Aaron saved him, actually did CPR, brought him back. And he talked about when I went to the hospital with his wife, and when he came to, he talked about seeing his dad, and he was going into a flight of steps, and his dad slammed the door on his face.
Oh,
and yes. And honestly, like my cousin for the last 4 years has struggled. He told my husband he was pissed at him for saving him. Why didn't he let him go? And I mean, it was just, you know, he struggled with a lot of stuff, and we would have these deep talks where he wanted to go. He was ready. I mean, you know, he didn't understand why he was still here. I never dreamed he would commit suicide, you know, to end it. However, you know, he is free now, and I believe he's at peace. You know, he's got rid of those demons, you know, and all he wanted to die. So some people, they actually, you know, are mad like he is. And I've heard that before, that they didn't go. They didn't want to come back here, you know?
Right.
I hear that too. Like people are like, oh, it was so peaceful. And, you know, I'm talking to whoever and they're like, well, you got to go back. It's not and they don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to.
I was talking to somebody, Tex might've been with me on a show, that somebody said we're given the option of wanting to go to the light or go back. You ever hear something like that? Krista, you guys have heard that? You think that's true? Think that exists?
Sure. Why not? I mean, anything's possible.
It could go one way or the other. I could see like your physical body is like on the precipice, and it could go one way or the other. I could see that.
When you do hear when people do die and you know, they can see their bodies or whatever, like they have no pain, like they want to continue to go on, but they're sent back here. They want to die because how they feel and, you know, things like that they want to go. They don't want to be here. And then they get sent back here. So
they're in pain. Yeah.
Right. And that's, I feel like my cousin, I feel like, you know, with all of his health issues, which was self-induced health issues, you know, was brought on by all of this. Like, I don't know, maybe subconsciously he did all this because he wanted to go, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I've heard different stories where people would see the light and they, like in this story, they look back, they saw their body really quickly. I think that would be so fascinating if that was me and I could see my body and I'm elevating to the ceiling, like in this story, and I could hear them working on me. That
would trip me out because I would immediately be like, shit.
Am
I dead?
Oh, yeah, no. That's the first thing. That's the first thought that would come in your mind. But I've heard the stories though where people have literally knew that they were passing on, and where they were going, they just got this euphoria of this is bliss. Where I'm going right now is
Yeah.
fantastic. They don't want to go back, given that offer, like this guy was telling me. And there's on the opposite side, there's people when that's happening, they see where they're going. I'll stay right here on Earth. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, I had a coworker years and years ago whose husband died. He had an NDE. He died from a massive heart attack, and they brought him back. But while he was dead, he wouldn't talk about what he saw. But let me tell you, like the 180 that man made in his life, like 180. And he described some of what he saw. He didn't like talking about it because it scared him so bad. But he saw like angels, like 9 foot tall, like angels. And they literally put the fear of God in the man. And he like turned his life right around. Let me tell you.
Quick question before we move on. Do you guys think that folks that are ready to depart, they know it, and that they kind of know?
If you have a long illness?
Yeah. I would say if you're ill. Yeah, I would say mostly if you were ill, you just know that.
I think that your spirit knows when your contract's about to be up sometimes. And you start putting affairs in order and you don't understand why you're doing something. And then, the family's like, well, he just started cleaning out the files and getting everything in order last week.
Yeah, because because I've experienced this twice with two people. Well, one, it's a secondhand story from my mom, and one was from my dad, who passed away like 7 years ago, which I always thought was so strange. I'm not getting into my mom's story very much. My mom never knew who her father was. Some of you guys know the story, but never knew who her dad was. Her mom, my grandma Dolly, she got it somewhere in the back of a restaurant, and my mom was born. I mean, hey, I know it's after 12, but yeah, she was kind of, Grandma Dolly was kind of a hoe.
You said it, not us.
She was well liked.
I say that because she was well liked. Yes, I say that because my mom didn't tell me stories about my grandmother until I was like in my 20s, because I loved my grandma. And my grandpa Harry wasn't even my real grandpa, who I love like a regular grandpa. So my grandpa's floating around out there somewhere, or probably dead by now. But my grandma, my real grandma, my mom's real mom, just hated my mom. She made her kneel on peas in a closet. She sent her off up north. It wanted nothing to do with her because she just hated my mom, but never told my mom who her real dad was. Never. And this is, you guys got to remember, way back when they were born. My mom's 79 today, so however long ago that was. So they were at odds, but she loved her other 3 daughters that she had with the new man Harry, who was a hobo she met on a
You're painting a lovely picture, Rob. You're painting a lovely picture.
I had to paint this picture because how evil my grandma was to my mom, and why. I'm just going to tell you, because how she knew she was going to die. She knew that my mom wanted desperately to find out who her other dad was. And her mom, my grandma, told her that she knew who he was. I'm never telling you. She held this against my ma. My grandma got brain cancer and she was in the hospital for a couple of weeks. And my mom, after the story she told me, I said, why even go visit her? Literally. No. But she would be there. Unlike all the other sisters who the grandma loved, my mom was always there. Penny, she calls my mom. Come here. You were so good to me during my time. I think I'm going to tell you who your dad is. My time is near. So here, come close. So my mom gets close to the grandma, looks at her in the eyes. Grandma looks back at my mom, stares at her. Then all of a sudden, grandma getting ready to tell my mom what she's always wanted to know, gives her this wicked ass smile at her. She goes, I'll never tell you. And in that instant, she died.
There was a special place in hell for that woman.
Can you imagine?
No, that's awful.
It's
How do
terrible.
you have that much hate?
That's
in your
why
heart?
I call her what I called her. I have no, and I love that woman. Didn't find these things that she did to my mom.
It's horrible. Chris's grandmother did the same thing to his mom. She wasn't cruel to her, but she would not tell her who her father was. She has no idea who her father was.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mom's always she's over it now. Obviously, I told her, hey, let's do that, tree thing, right?
Yeah.
Hell, I want to know my other part of my nationality. I know I'm German, Polish, and Ukrainian. Well, what's my other quarter? What's my grandfather? What was he? Right?
So put the DNA sample into tell your mother to put her DNA sample into what is it? Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
It'll tell you who your close relatives are.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could find her father through that.
The thing is, now today, I don't think she wants to.
Well,
but I kind of want to know what
the curiosity would.
I kind of want to know personally.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in your mom's life, it probably doesn't.
Well, if I put mine in, it would probably tell me what my other nationalities are or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I might do that just on my own. I just do it and not tell her.
But just be careful who you're giving your DNA to.
Oh.
Yeah, they already have it.
So that was that one. The other one that I had was my father. Yeah, I just knew, he was, kind of, getting ready. I don't know he's getting ready. I don't know when he was going to go. But I remember the last day I seen him, I was in the hospital room and he goes, hey, Robbie. I go, what? Go back to when you get home, go back over my house and there's these slippers underneath my bed. I want you to have them. I'm like, okay, Dad. Well, maybe I'll get them tomorrow. I'll come see you tomorrow. He goes, no, get them today. Don't wait till tomorrow when you come see me. I want you to get them tonight. I said, okay. I thought it was odd. So I went right from the hospital to my dad's house, got his slippers. Then I was going to wear them to the hospital the next morning to show him, right? Well, I got there the next day and he was gone.
Yeah.
So he knew,
Yeah.
Well, it's like my mom. She died 10 days before my birthday. And she gave me my birthday present early, which she never did, And the day before she died, well, the eve that she died, she went and had her hair done and everything. And my aunt did her hair. Okay. My aunt was her hairdresser. My aunt was also the person that she worked in a funeral home also. She was also the one that prepared my mother. Mm-hmm. But she went and had all this done, gave me my birthday present early and died that night. And when we found her, she was, because my dad came and woke me up, and my dad was bedridden with cancer, right? We had a hospital bed in the living room. My mom was sleeping on the couch, and and we was all expecting my dad to die, right? And my mom died in her sleep that night. My dad came and woke me up and says, I can't wake your son, come here, I can't wake up your mother. I knew, as soon as he said that, I knew. But I went in there and checked her, and she had this look, and the best I can describe it, she had this this little Mona Lisa smile on her face.
Oh,
not
the vampire Mona Lisa,
right? But it was, and then he died 4 months later on her birthday.
Oh wow!
But he didn't die of cancer; he died of a heart attack.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all got crazy stories. Like
Yeah,
that,
we
you know.
do. It's just
Go shifting gears a little bit to pets. My sister had this Saint Bernard, Heidi, and lived a long time for a Saint Bernard. I mean, that
Mhm.
big dogs usually don't live
Right.
very long. And but Heidi died, and we buried her up in beside one of the fields under a tree. And we had this other dog. We called him Hobo because he just showed up one day. And he was part wolf, and we could not run this dog off. But he became one of the best dogs that we ever had. Right, very protective. He would patrol at night around the place. That was what he did. And so after Heidi dies, Hobo disappears. And they were always running and playing together and all this kind of stuff. And we couldn't find him. He was gone for a couple of days. And my dad was up getting ready to plow a field, which was beside where we buried Heidi. And he found Hobo laying dead on her grave.
Oh,
No. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. These are all, like, I don't know. You guys all told a story. I'll tell one real quick. So my grandma, I was very close to her, and she died in 2012. She died May 24th, actually, of 2012. And the only reason I know this is because my daughter's birthday was the day before, and she had finals at school, and they had found my grandma unresponsive at the nursing home. So we get a call, and we go over there and to the hospital, and they did all kinds of tests, and she was unresponsive all day long, couldn't talk or do anything. And so me and my daughter, we sat there, and my brother came, my mom came, and they all went home. Well, I wanted to stay with her. Me and my daughter did. And so it was throughout the night. I just took my grandma by the hand. My daughter was sleeping, and I took her by the hand, and I told her, go be with grandpa, and just had the talk with her. It's okay. You lived your life. And she squeezed my hand, and I told her, and I felt it. And I told her, I said, I love you. And I swear to God, nobody in my family believes me, but she told me, I love you too. But yet she was unresponsive. But she did. She told me, I love you too. And she, went on that day, and she ended up dying later that afternoon. However, none of my family believes me. They're like, well, she was unresponsive. I'm like, I'm telling you, and I know, and I feel blessed because I am the last one she told that to.
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, my father-in-law, of course, I lost my parents when I was, young. But my father-in-law, I got real close to him, and he was like a father to me, And he was in real bad health. He had, a few strokes and everything, and he had emphysema. He was on his last legs. And he called me. We was over here visiting, and he called me into the bedroom. And he goes, "Hey," he goes, "I want you to make me a promise." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I need you to take care of everybody." I said, "Absolutely." So I got you. I got you covered. I said, "But don't be telling me shit right now because you're gonna be around a while." Well, he wasn't around all that long, but me and him, we said our goodbyes then. Now, I never went and saw him in the hospital. I'm not good at that, because when they're on their last legs and they're not themselves. Okay. And that's not how I want to remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. That's like going to, I don't like going to funerals because I will not go to a visitation because that's not how I want to remember them.
Yep.
Remember them the last time I saw them. That's how I want to remember them, it's, but now I'll go to a funeral, and of course, support the family and all that kind of stuff. But a visitation, no, I will not go. You close the casket and I'll walk in, But yeah, and he was one of the smartest men I ever know. He was what they call an experimental assembler for Bell Helicopter. They shipped the first Osprey to him in boxes and said, "Put this together." But he would travel across the country for Bell Helicopter and show people how to put stuff together. And that type of thing. I mean, that's the, Sesame Street version of what he did.
Yeah.
But he was, I've got so many great memories with him. Me and him, we became fishing buddies and everything, and it was really cool, But, and my ex-brother-in-law, he's sitting right up here on my dresser. I still got him up here. Me and my nephew made him a promise before he died. That he had a sense of humor right up until he died. I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, man, take care of Eric. And I said, I got you covered, man. I said, I'm going to teach him everything I know. He goes, no, don't do that. But we got, in fact, I got to take my nephew up to the Red River because that's what he wanted. He wanted to be his ashes spread in the Red River because he loved to fish the Red River. And he was from Texas, but he lived his last days in Oklahoma, so he's very attached to both states. So he goes, I want to be spreading the Red River. I'm like, that's perfect, dude. Take care of it, man.
Well, I just realized something for bizarre news tonight. I find it very bizarre, and I did not do this on purpose, how all of these subjects all were kind of, all had commonalities with, life and death, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did not do that on purpose. Must have been in the subconscious, right? How do you say that?
There's a reason something's going to happen.
Oh, boy.
He's going to reflect back on this and get strength from it. So,
yes, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, you guys. It's little touch on everybody's little personal side. But here, I got one that's very uplifting. This last one that I have. And we're going to, we're just going to go ahead and do it. And I do have a picture of the culprit. In fact, I'm going to show the picture of the culprit right now before I even get started. There he is.
It's a cutie.
This is, I got to tell you a story about this character. And here we go. Tennessee man shot by his pit bull while in bed.
Wasn't fast enough with the food.
March 12th, 2025. I didn't make this up either. Dogs and guns don't mix. The Memphis man's canine companion was reportedly responsible for firing a shot into his leg. The bizarre incident reportedly involved Jared Kirkwood of Memphis, Tennessee, who had been lying in bed with his partner when his dog, a 1-year-old pit bull, jumped up on the bed and allegedly pulled the trigger of a firearm that happened to be lying next to them. The bullet ended up grazing the man's thigh, causing a non-critical injury. It turned out that the dog, named Oreo, had managed to get its paw stuck in the gun's trigger guard. Mm-hmm. Upon Oreo shooting his master, he apparently fled the scene through the dog's doggy door out by the kitchen. Kirkwood's female friend was later reported to have departed the property with the firearm in question. Both the girlfriend and the pit bull Oreo are wanted by Memphis police for questioning. Their whereabouts still are unknown. Detective Monty Smith suggests that this is just another love triangle gone terribly wrong.
That's a real true case of the dog did it, right?
So the girlfriend, the dog, and the gun split.
They're on the run, yes.
I think the dog got shafted. I don't think it was the dog that did it. It's probably the girlfriend.
She took the dog so he couldn't testify otherwise.
Right.
Yeah. Took the guns because the dog's DNA was not on the gun.
Yeah, of course, There might have been a little spin on that from somebody. I don't know. But I got to tell you what, that was, of course. That was, of course, bizarre news.
It was interesting.
It was
as
interesting how
usual.
it was
Yeah.
interesting how these, like you were. I don't know how all those. I got those topics all together like that. I didn't think nothing of it until toward the end of the show. I like the Sasquatch run in the beginning, though, like the history and all that, the 1846. I mean, that was really cool. I dig stuff like that.
That's
because it's always fun and interesting to get into.
Hey, I want to shout this out real quick. Anita Collier's in the chat. Y'all don't forget, we got our conference coming in September. Well, the Alabama Bigfoot conference is in June in Anniston, Alabama. I will be there again this year. Me and Ryan Arnold. Ryan Edwards. And possibly Randy, I hope he's able to go. We'll be traveling together, and Ryan is speaking, and I am the MC. MK Davis will be there, and Melissa Adair will be there. I get to see Melissa Adair again. She's pretty cool.
She's
awesome. Holler at her.
She's a cool chick. She's with the. She used to have a show called something Chicks, Bigfoot Chicks.
Bigfoot Chicks.
Yeah. Really briefly, thanks, Tex, for this shout out to Alabama. Thanks to Josh, Mr. Castro, member for 10 months. He's a pirate member for 10 months. Keith from Michigan, the super chat. Rags, thank you so much for your super chat. T-Bone for gifting 5 new pirates, R.M.80s. Donnie chose says stuff. Donnie, thanks for every time I showed up on the show drunk that he felt obligated to send that super chat. Well, thanks, Don, if you're still awake. Appreciate you, buddy. Miranda Crew, a new member. And here was a question to somebody. I'll just pull it up. Somebody marked out. Do you think cryptid activity intensifies with bad weather or after? Well, considering the weather, what's your take, Tex? I'll be right back.
Well, I've seen it ramp up during bad weather down in Brown Springs. It's weird. The most probably one of at least the craziest nights that I've ever had was right before, during, and right after a huge storm. Me and Pops and Junior, we camped through a tornado warning down there in Brown Springs. I mean, sky went green on us. It was bad. And but we had seen some stuff the night before it got bad, and then during the storm, me and Pops were in his trailer, and we had stuff throwing rocks at us. I mean, hard enough to take chips of paint out. It was crazy. And then the night after, that's when we had all that stuff happen with him and Junior seeing those cat-like entities jump out of the trees and go up on 2 legs, and I had something, I guess, try to attach itself to me, and the really weird. We got over the spirit box. Those 3 words we got. Y'all heard the story before. It was Solo, Beast, and Grace, and Solo. Well, Beast was Amy's husband, the big old fella. Man, he makes me look small. Somebody called him a beast back in camp, and he was sitting down. He was in his truck next to my truck down by himself at the bottom of the cemetery. Well, Grace is the name of my truck. So that was pretty creepy. But
sounds like it. Very cool.
Yeah. I think it does. I think it definitely, that type of energy, when you got a lot of electricity in the air and stuff, I think that definitely ramps up the paranormal activity for sure. I think the impending weather will stir up these critters, and I think honestly, if they're out in it, they'll mess with you because they can hide like better, you know. So
I agree, because last Sunday when we went out with Will Lunsford and Stephen Hill, it was crazy active, and you know, you could hear the storms, the thunder in the background, and you could see the lightning. You know, it never rained on us, knock on wood, it never did rain on us, but it was you know, where it was really amping up. So I absolutely believe that's possible with the cryptid side of things.
Energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Energy for sure. My
Yeah,
quick
it was-
take.
It's pretty crazy during the weather. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my quick take on the whole weather thing with cryptids. I think maybe it flushes them out of some areas, or maybe they just go underground or stay hidden, or go deeper into the woods, more shelter, more foliage. I don't know.
I think it depends on what weather it is.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts before we say goodnight to everybody?
I can't really even say that this was like a bad or sad show. I think it was interesting. It's something
I think
that
it was
we
a
really
learning
haven't-
experience. I don't think it was a sad show.
No, that we haven't really hit on too much. And
You know,
so
life's a part
we
of death.
did.
Life's a part of death, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm glad we did. Mm-hmm.
I think we've all determined none of us are afraid of moving
Mm-hmm.
on to another life, right?
Yep. I think the older you get, the less afraid you are. Because I remember being a kid, I was scared to die, but not anymore.
Oh, for sure.
You know, not anymore.
For sure. I was petrified. I mean, everybody come out. We were all a little bit scared. We just wonder.
Mhm.
Because
You just don't know what's going to come next. You don't know. That's
You
what's
don't.
scary.
Oh, and here's the last question. Just, do you want to know right around the room? I asked this before. I'm going to ask it again. Right around the room, Krista, do you want to know when your death date is?
No.
Monica,
No.
text.
You.
Oh, no, I don't.
If I have an expiration date, I don't want to know what it is,
I don't either.
because I even have a
Personal
hard time with doctors giving expiration dates. I don't think they ought to be allowed to do that.
Right, I agree. I don't even want to know what I'm going to die of.
Right.
Oh gosh,
I don't
me
know
either.
anything. You know. Mm-mm.
I've always, and I've said this a bunch, since I was a young kid, I've always had this very strong feeling that I'm going to die a violent death.
I can see that,
Thanks, Rob.
Tex
especially
gets
after.
eaten by a dog, man.
Well, you provoke things, Tex. I wonder why you have that.
Well,
thought.
you know, Tex does fight demons. He tries to bring them out of the shadows. Everybody.
Yeah, they're cowards. I've got. I'm co-hosting Southern Belle Bigfoot tomorrow. It's just going to be me and Selena.
Okay.
Unless I can talk somebody else into joining us, Monica.
What time?
7
How long does it run?
now.
Oh, okay. I listen. I have to be very careful in my time because I have limited amount of time with Chris, and it is really just the weekends, and he gets pissy.
Oh, I get it.
if I do shows before he goes to bed, and he goes to bed at 8:30.
So he must be mad at you every Saturday night.
No, because it's really only an hour. It's late enough that he's not upset, but like during the week, like I can't. That's why I don't do shows before 8:30 during the week.
Yep,
Makes sense.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. But anyway, yeah. So, but we're going to be talking about because we don't have a guest tomorrow, so we're going to be talking about what lurks in the woods.
Yeah,
What goes
that's
bumping
a
in
good topic. All right.
Oh, that'd be nice.
There's
So
a lot
today-
that lurks in the woods.
Mhm.
Is it on
It's on her channel.
her channel? Okay. Just send me a link, and I'll try to pop on.
No, you can get to it from here.
Oh, can I? That's what I was asking. Is it on the front porch StreamYard?
It
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Okay.
Excellent. Well,
Oh, Lord have mercy.
popping in.
Brent, right as we're signing off.
Yeah. Well, we'll give them some,
Bring 'em up.
we'll give them some free advertising.
Hey,
How you guys doing?
How are you?
I know you guys are just getting ready to be done, but I was like, I gotta see if this is this is my first test of the new studio and all the setups. So I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta hurry. So
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you: are you guys hearing a hum at all in my audio, or is it clear?
No, sound good.
It sounds clear. It sounds very clear.
I can hear it in my ears. So that's why I was wondering. So I just
that's annoying as hell.
You sound slightly muffled. That's the only thing.
I sound slightly muffled.
Well, now you don't, but you did.
Oh, well, no.
And the left side of your face is shaded, and the right side is bright.
Yeah, I got my ring light over here right now. I'll have to reposition things. But I'm just trying to polish a turd here, Rob. This a little shadow goes a long way with me, brother.
Yeah, there you go.
So
it was an interesting show. We talked a little about some life after death, taking over a different body.
We're talking about dying.
We talk about dying, our death date,
NDEs.
God, I missed a bunch. Sorry.
We all shared a little personal thing about it, and so yeah.
Wow, that's pretty heavy stuff. Wow.
Was.
How long was your show? An hour and a half? 2 hours? What
It's
did you
usually
do?
90 minutes. We sometimes go 2, but you usually end right around now, unless you got a brief story about an NDE or you just want to call it a night.
No, I mean I've almost died a bunch of times, but I haven't ever had like the NDE thing. I just almost drowned a few times. A lot of close calls, but yeah, I don't have any really cool stories about that though.
Yeah.
Stay out of the water.
Yeah, no kidding.
Turns out I'm a sinker. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Now I know. But no.
Speaking of swimming, my mom will never drown because she cannot go underwater. She just always floats.
She's buoyant.
Jack can float too, really.
Very much
I don't have any problem floating either.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not like some of those people can just like go on their back and be like,
that's me.
Yeah, not me. No, I'm the guy at the bottom of the pool trying to go on his back.
Yeah.
This isn't working. This is.
I had a dog that couldn't swim.
Really?
That's unusual. But yeah, I've seen that.
Didn't even use the doggy paddle.
I put him in the pool. He would go just straight to the bottom. Paddle his ass off, but go straight to the bottom.
I had a mastiff that was like that. He couldn't swim a lick, but loved the water.
Oh, there goes the old wives' tale. I thought they all knew how.
I actually got my lifeguard certificate. I became a certified lifeguard, and I had to fully clothed with shoes and everything, and I had to go in a 10-foot pool, and I had to tread water for 3 hours.
Ouch.
3 hours?
And then at the end of the third hour, you had to take off all your clothes and make a flotation device out of it.
Wow.
Oh, like I've seen that with the
stuff
jeans.
that I had on, yeah.
Who put on this course, Rob? The Navy SEALs? Jesus.
Oh shit.
No, I mean it was
a public swimming pool lifeguard position. And you had to tread for 3 hours in case you couldn't find the edge of the pool in 3
Well, no,
hours.
I wanted to be able to I wanted to also be able to go to the beach.
Oh, you trained open water. Okay,
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, it's like, man,
because
you're gonna be in the Great Lakes doing it, yeah.
Well, plus the Great Lakes, we have all the fabulous currents and riptides, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my goal is to hitchhike to Hawaii.
From the flotation device you made out of your clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to get on a St. Lawrence.
That's a passing cruise ship,
I know I was going to assemble my own flotation boat out of clothing and get on the St. Lawrence Seaway and escape to the Pacific Ocean and hit Hawaii.
Sure. So you know that my husband was on a raft in the middle of the ocean trying to get from Ecuador to Hawaii. He was trying to recreate the Iatiki with a group of guys. There's a whole book about it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it would be cool, Tex, if you had Chris on and he could tell you all about that expedition because it was 6 months in Ecuador.
If I could
finding the
balsa wood
logs, they had to go source them in the Amazon, cut them down, have them delivered to this beach town they were in. They had to make the lashings for it. It was all legit.
Did they just do a little teaser? Did they make it?
So they got stuck in the doldrums. So they were out in open water, but they were caught in the current that was taking them up the coast. And it's lucky because they were just off the coast of Costa Rica somewhere. Mm-hmm. And Chris was filming it all for Nat Geo. And he was under the raft filming something one day, and it's double layered, like one row goes this way, one row goes this way. And he would hold on to the logs and film underwater. Well, he reached up to hold on to the log, and a chunk of wood came off in his hand. The raft was infested with these worms that were eating the balsa wood out from under them.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, they were lucky that they weren't like off in the middle of the Pacific.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not good.
So they ended up having to beach the craft.
Well, you do whatever you need to do, work your Monica magic, and get him on the show for me. Because I would love to have him on. Because, once we start telling stories together, you know how that rolls. Yeah. So, yes, but you work your Monica magic and get him on the show.
Yeah. Yes, T-Bone. They were trying to recreate the Kon-Tiki. Their expedition was called the Iatiki.
Wow.
Cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some amazing stories. He really does.
He does. He's done a lot.
Is he coming down in September, Monica?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
I'll have to pick his brain.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Awesome.
This was a great show. Thanks for everybody for coming in. Thanks, Brent. Yes, you're it looks good. You're very vivid, very colorful.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
You're not so bad yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you ever so much. I'll see you Thursday at 1. How's that sound?
Yeah. I mean, hell yeah. I mean, as long as things are working, I'm there.
I don't have anybody Thursday, so you got to come on.
I'm like the lunch meat in the bottom of the refrigerator. I can make a sandwich.
I will say this though, Brett, the show that me and Tex just last Thursday we did.
Yeah.
That's the highest rated brunch we've had in a while.
Wow.
There's a lot of cool comments, especially thrown at Tex.
Well, there you go. There's the draw right there.
Well, that was highly surprising.
Right.
Just an
Hey, you guys, leave all you people out there in the chat. Thanks for coming on in. Leave a comment later and hit the like button on your way out. Do appreciate you. Fantastic show. And until next time, I am for Krista, for Monica, for Tex, and for late but always good to see Mr. Brent Thomas. Paranormal. What the hell's the name of your show? Paranormal Porthole.
Sorry, I got busy on Thursday suddenly.
Something just came up.
Something came up.
Oh,
it's circular in design.
Insert foot and mouth, good old BMR. With that being said, love you all. Have a great night and weekend.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks, with an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.